Hey guys, so really quickly before I start this video, I do want to say this video is mainly just going to repeat one of the points I made in one of my previous videos. And basically the video I'm talking about, it was called Start Listening to Yourself More. And one of my points was about the fact that I cut off a lot of my toxic friends. And the main reason I wanted to repeat on that point was because after rewatching the video, I realized I left out a lot of details that could have added a lot of context to what I was talking about. And so I kind of want to use this video as a chance to kind of like go more in depth on exactly what led to me cutting off my toxic friends. So because of that, I will say you don't have to rewatch that video if you don't want to, because again, I'm going to repeat everything I said in that point in this video, except I'm going to go a lot more in depth. And so with that said, I want to make my first point about the fact that I did tolerate a lot of behavior that looking back, I shouldn't have. Because I will admit, I knew that my friends were toxic people to be around. But even then, I still decided to be around them because I thought it was better having these people in my life than being alone. And so because of that, I ended up overlooking a lot of like clear signs of these people being really toxic to be around, such as stuff like I beat them in a video game, or they were clearly bored of hearing me talk about like life goals I had to the point that they would like switch the topic to something else. Or it could even be something like I was going through a hard time in like real life and they made it clear that they just did not care. But even though I knew like deep down that like what they were doing was wrong, I still kept brushing off their behavior because, to give context, I grew up most of my life not having many friends. So because of that, I felt it was more important than anything that I do whatever it takes to not lose these people. But after putting up with it for a few more years, I realized that the toxic behavior, it just wasn't worth it. And so at that point, I kind of started being a lot more honest with myself about the fact that I just wasn't happy around these people. And so I kind of started hanging out with them less. But the problem is that I didn't stop hanging out with them entirely. So basically, I just went from hanging out with them nearly all the time to maybe like one, two times a week. And again, it's like I knew I wasn't happy being around these people, but they were one of the fewest friend groups I've ever had in my life. So I just did not want to lose it at the time. I don't know. It was just really hard for me to let go of that type of connection, even though I knew it wasn't healthy. And so because of that, I still ended up hanging out with these guys for a few more years. But then basically like there was one moment that made me start to question like if these guys are really good for me to be around. And basically that moment was when me and like one of my friends from that friend group met up online because we would do this thing regularly where we would get online and like play video games and stuff. And so once we met up, we kind of were just talking for a few hours and just having fun. And then something happened that basically made him admit to me that everyone in the group, including him, was like talk about me behind my back. And I won't lie, when he told me it's hard to explain. It just made me feel weird. And honestly, I started questioning like, how long have y'all been doing this? And so when I asked him, he said that they've been doing this for months. And it's just like, I never knew. And so once he told me this, I started paying like really close attention to the way that everyone in this group like talks about people. And that's whether they're in the friend group or not. And so with that said, there was one specific moment where it's like it kind of started going downhill from there where like I realized like, are these people really good for me to be around? But basically me and my friend group, we were playing like this online team-based game. And one of them had a friend who was pretty new to the game and kind of wanted to join us in some online matches. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest, the new guy was really bad at the game. I'm not gonna lie, he was just super bad at it. But at the same time, it's like it's understandable because like he just started the game, so I can't really expect him to be able to play like competitively or anything. The problem though is that again, I started paying more attention to the way that my friends talk about people, and these guys were like getting easily irritated with the new person. And so for me, I feel like they were just being like incredibly harsh on him when it's like this is literally like his first time playing the game. I wish I had said something honestly, but I just stayed silent the entire time. And honestly, that's something I wish I didn't do. I wish I spoke up about it because again, these guys were taking it way too seriously. But anyway, the whole thing it just rubbed me the wrong way. And honestly, it made me question like, how do these guys talk about me behind my back? And so with that said, I ended up meeting up with that one friend. I think I never said his name. We're just gonna say P for now. And so at some point later on, I met up with P again and I asked him like, what exactly was I doing that annoyed you guys to the point that you were talking about me behind my back? And when he explained a few of the things that the group was getting annoyed about, I will admit there were a few things where it's like they were actually justified to be mad about it. Like, for example, let's say we were playing a game, right? What I would do like after like I would a match against my friends was like I would like yell this phrase. I don't know where I got it from, but I would basically yell this phrase like it was like it's your boy, something like that. I can't remember what exactly it was. It involved it's your boy though. And so basically I would like yell that like nearly every time I won a match. And apparently that was one of the things that was annoying the group. Looking back at it, I can definitely see how it was annoying. The problem for me, however, is like, why didn't you just tell me? Because honestly, looking back at it, a lot of this stuff could have been resolved so much quicker and so much easier had they just told me up front. But instead, they chose to hold this in for months and then get mad at me because I didn't know that there was a problem. But with that said, that's everything that happened that made me start to like question this friend group and like if these are really good people for me to be around. But basically now I'm going to talk about like the exact moment where I realized like I just have to cut these people out of my life. And so basically what happened was a few days after this had happened, I met up with that one friend again, but I also met up with a second person from that friend group. And so we were all just talking for a few hours and whatnot. And then basically that new person who was new to the game that we were playing at the time, that person ended up getting brought up by the second person, which now I think about I didn't give him a name. Let's just say H. And so basically, H, he was kind of rambling on for some time about how much he didn't like the guy. And when I asked why he felt that way, he just said that he just found the guy like really annoying to be around. Now, already that right there is just super negative behavior. But basically, what happened afterward was the moment where like I have to cut you off. The problem for me though is that he was saying all these negative things about this person and all this over a video game at that. But literally, what happened was like a few minutes right after H said all this stuff about this person, that exact same person literally just joined our online party. And once this person joined, instead of H being upfront and seeing everything that he just told me and P, he instead was acting all nice and acting like he was interested in talking with the guy all of a sudden. And so me and P were kind of just being silent in the background while H was talking to the guy for a few minutes before he had to leave. And once he left, I ended up leaving the party as well. And I did this because I realized that this is most definitely the way that they've been talking about me behind my back. And so it literally just it didn't feel right being around these guys anymore. And so I basically just ended up cutting off all of them. And so basically I just unfollowed and blocked all of them on social media except P. He was the only person that I didn't like stop talking to at the time. But honestly, after thinking about it for some time, at some point I stopped hanging out with him as well because it just didn't feel right knowing that he knew that this was going on for months and just never told me. But even then, I still met up with him one more time to at least check up on like how life's been going for him. And thankfully, when we talked, he said that life was actually going pretty good for him. And apparently, he stopped talking with the guys from the friend group as well. And honestly, I'd say that's a good thing for him. And so, with all that said, I'm not mad at him anymore about what happened. It's just I'm not interested in being friends with him anymore. And I think he got the point as well because after we met up that last time, we haven't talked since. It's been about, I'd say, 3 months since that happened. And so when I stopped talking with him, that was actually the moment when I officially became alone again for the first time in years. Like at that point, I didn't have any more friends left. It definitely made me feel lonely, but at the same time, I knew that I couldn't hang around these people anymore. And so that ended up lasting for a few months until I got to the point where I realized like I have to go out and socialize more because the loneliness just became unbearable. And so once I realized this, I basically started looking into ways that I can start making new friends. And specifically for what I did, I started attending a lot of social gatherings going on in my city. And that was through using a lot of social apps such as Meetup, Eventbrite, Bumble BFF, and even Reddit. And the only reason I used Reddit was because there was specifically a subreddit for my city. And basically the people who made that subreddit, they use it to like post a lot of social gatherings going on in the city. And so it kind of made an easy way for me to be able to meet people in person. And so after using all these apps, I started attending a couple events here and there. I won't lie, not all of them were good. And it's no judgment toward the people attending these events, but it was really clear that a lot of people did not know how to socialize. And again, I'm not judging because at the time I was the same. I didn't know how to talk with people. And that's the reason we go to these events. But anyway, for the exact type of events I attended, I basically just attended anything I could find. I wasn't really too picky about it, as long as I can meet people in person, really. And after attending a couple of events here and there for a few weeks, I actually was able to start meeting a good amount of cool people. And through a lot of these people, I actually ended up finding more events that weren't even being posted on these social apps. And it was specifically through those events that were recommended to me that I was finally able to start finding some stuff where like I was able to meet a lot of people and even made a good amount of friends out of them. And the awesome thing about it is that like a good amount of these people who I became friends with, I'm still friends with today. And one thing that I realized that like I never felt with my old friend group was that I was just so much happier and I just felt so much more fulfilled being around these new people. And it's mainly because unlike my old friend group, a lot of the people that I met recently like actually cared about me. It didn't matter if it was for my career or just my personal life. A lot of these people actually cared about checking up on me. And it's awesome because I was able to share a lot of similar interests with these people that I never did with my old friend group, such as like my love for anime. And I think it's pretty obvious I'm into anime because you can literally see a Hunter x Hunter poster right there, which actually, speaking of that, I actually got this at an anime convention that was going on in my city that I was actually able to go with my new friend group. And really quickly, another thing I want to mention is that even though I found my new friend group, I actually still use these apps today. Because honestly, it's just really fun being able to see what's going on in my city as well as meeting a ton of new people. And again, it also helps me socialize and it honestly makes me feel like a part of a community. And that's just something that I just never got with my old friend group, which is why it just makes me so happy that I cut those people out. Because it took me losing those friends to realize that there was stuff like this out there that I just never knew about. And more than likely, I never would have looked into it if I just stuck with being around these people who I knew were toxic and just weren't good for me. And that's honestly one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video because I know that there are people out there who are just like me, where you know you have people in your life that are not good for you, but you are so afraid of being alone that you keep these people around. And so I wanted to make this video to say that if you're somebody who has toxic friends or you have toxic people who you know are not good for you, cut them out as soon as you can. And again, I know that you just want to be able to fit in the group, and I don't put that against you, but I'm just seeing off of personal experience, it's not worth it. And the longer you keep yourself in that situation, the harder it's going to be to get out when you get older. And so it may be hard to like just go out and socialize more when you just don't have those social skills yet, but I'm telling you, it is worth it to at least work on it. And so if you're somebody who wants to make friends, you just have to go out and socialize more. And I will be honest, it could be awkward at first, but it's just something you have to give yourself time to work on. And so if you can, maybe try the social apps that I mentioned earlier, Meetup, Eventbrite, Bumble BFF, even Reddit. Maybe there's a subreddit specifically for your city like there was for me. And if you're willing to give it some time, you could eventually find events that can help you find new people and make new friends that way. And as long as you take the amount of time that you need, you will be able to find new people and eventually make new friends doing that. And one of the most important things I want to say in this is make sure you find people who are genuinely good for you. Because I'm telling you from personal experience, keeping people who you know are toxic just because they're all you have, it's not worth it. And so when you're trying to find new friends, it doesn't matter if it's specifically for helping you build your career or if it's just somebody just to have fun moments with. Just make sure they're a positive influence in your life. That's all I ask. And so with that said, that's actually everything I wanted to mention in this video. So I really hope somebody got something out of this, and I'll see y'all later.